Is the hive functioning on a biological imperative?
Or are they just a bunch of manipulative assholes?
Let's discuss. Okay, Pluribus, last episode. What are your first takeaways?
I mean, we have to talk about the opening scene.
Scene in the village.
Scene in the village in Peru, Quechua indigenous village.
Right.
With Cusimayo.
For anybody who had an issue with your pet theory, I think seeing her in an animal pen
Yes.
with the hive around the outsides,
Yes.
looking at her.
Yeah. And anyone who had a hamster as a child with like a cage and, you know, the little toys inside.
This is literally what I wrote down was I had a gerbil.
Yes.
I had a gerbil, not a hamster, but that's what I was thinking, what the village reminded me of, with the tubes and the wheel and all these things to keep them busy.
To create this kind of sense of home
Yeah.
for her.
Yeah.
And I also think it's important to note, and those folks who resist references to colonialism with regards to the show may not appreciate what I'm going to say or what we're going to discuss. But I mean, I do think it's really important to keep in mind the fact that this is an indigenous village, and the technology in order to cause this young woman to be joined into the hive has to be brought into the village from outside.
Correct.
You know, it is not a technology that has been developed within the community. It comes from the outside on a plane. It's taken into a Range Rover Jeep-like thing. The technology is then kind of blended with the culture in order to with the song, etc. And incidentally, it is a Quechua song. One of the extras who was involved in the filming of the sequence posted a significant amount of information about the Quechua language and the song, etc. on Instagram. You can put a link to that to explain that. But you know, so this technology is brought in. It's embedded in the culture. You know,
actually, before we get too far, for anybody who has issues with this colonial reading of the show, tell them what the song was that ended the episode.
Conquistadora.
Right.
Yes. Yes. By Chantel Claret. It's a great song. You know, the idea of the conquistadores who coming from Spain to the so-called New World to locate El Dorado, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it's being shown. It's being illustrated. I mean, obviously there are many themes that are in the show, but colonialism is definitely one of them. You know, like we see in this initial sequence all of the trappings of culture. Right. You know, the language, the clothing, the food, the architecture, the music, you know, everything. Right. We see all of this and then we see it all disappear.
Right. It's all fiction.
It's all a fiction that has been created simply for the individual, but that also underlines the fact that culture is embedded in the individual. Right. And in individuality and culture are connected. Right. And the value of culture is also the valuing of individuals.
It's interesting, okay, because I had some thought of when you see them packing everything up, pulling it away, my initial reading is they're just manipulating her. She's thinking that joining the hive is just going to be a continuation of the life she has always led. She's just no longer in the out group that she's been. She gets to join in.
Well, and she says because you know, she's the two options that she provides in terms of the feelings is excited and nervous.
Right. They keep asking if she's nervous. She keeps reassuring them.
Yeah,
she's just excited.
She's excited, and also that she wants to be a part of the culture. Yeah. She feels that she's outside of her own culture. This event has happened. She's outside of her own culture and she wants to return to it. And so...
But I don't think she has any idea how much of her culture is going to vanish.
Exactly. That she'll be more connected instead of less connected. Right. And that's the irony. And I kind of feel that what's interesting to me is that it presents the opposite of the Tower of Babel story. If the Tower of Babel is about, you trying to achieve godliness and then God punishing you and splitting everybody up.
Speaking different languages.
Right. What this does is it puts everyone back into one whole group where there literally is no language.
They don't speak. Yeah.
There's silence.
Yeah.
And that silencing,
dumb grin on their face.
Yeah, that silencing is kind of concerning.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that also this idea of the manipulation has like a pejorative, you know, again, like manipulative assholes. Like it has this pejorative kind of idea, but it's clear that there is this sense on behalf of the joined that this is the right way. And again, if we want to talk a little bit about colonialism, you know, there is no real difference, this kind of idea that it's a biological imperative that they need to move forward and they need to do this. There's no real fundamental difference to me between the colonial manifest destiny. Right. You know, like it's this idea that this is the right way, it's going to be better if we could just have this one universal civilization that we all could join into, everything would be so much better and happier.
Well, Zosha does the same. Zosha and Carol's story kind of parallels this, you don't want to call it manipulation or whatever, a fiction of this is what normal existence will be until Zosha says what you're bringing up. She's like, you're going to be so much happier.
Yes. It's going to be so wonderful.
It's just going to be incredible.
It's going to be, as long as you join, as long as you're no longer yourself, as long as you assimilate. Yeah. I mean, and I think that metaphor is broad, right? You know, and we can see the impact of that just in everyday life. What I think that when we move from the village to the sort of the next, I guess, act of this final episode, you know, we're left with the bleeding goat who tries to follow after the former friend who now has been joined, a caretaker, and that's gone. And I think that also reflects what we've seen throughout this series, where the animals are left behind.
And that animal's not going to do well.
No, it's not a benevolent leaving behind. You know, anyhow. So we move from that, and then the next thing that we see, we're with Carol and Zosha, and we're underlining that surveillance that the joined or the Hive has of the individuals. You know,
and we see immediately just how accepting Carol is of the surveillance. It doesn't bother her at all that they're watching this guy from some predator drone footage.
Exactly. No.
It's never bothered her that the way stuff was delivered to her was all they're watching at all times.
She seems completely fine with that. Yeah. So they're watching, and I mean, again, you know, I kind of love the way that this show is so self-referential in that it's aware of how we watch it. Right. You know, with all of its little like symbols, etc. I mean, he's in an ambulance. Right. You know, he's coming to heal, to save, like whatever. You know, so and he's saying over and over again. We've just seen Kusimayo be assimilated into the join,
to lose herself
and lose her identity, and we shift right over to an individual who's saying over and over, my name is Manusos Oviedo. My name is Manusos Oviedo. There's like this, I am asserting my individual identity over and over and over again. So we get that kind of like shift. This is the opposite of what we've just seen. And this focus, I think, also leads us to really consider, you know, like, is this a show that's about like good and evil, or is it about kind of a way of seeing the relationship between the individual and the collective? Right. And because when Manusos and Carol first meet, you know, he says, "Oh, they're evil, they're bad," and she says, "Well, but they wouldn't hurt an ant." Yeah. And his response is, putting human beings on the same level of ants is effectively evil and wrong. Right. We should not be doing that. So they both have these differing perspectives, these differing moral perspectives.
Right.
Yeah.
As to what's good and what's
bad.
Right. Well, I think the whole show has tried to avoid those sorts of simple, dualities.
Yes, exactly.
It's much more complicated in every Yeah, I mean, yes, like the Hive. Okay, it's an alien invasion, and they're stealing everybody's soul, but they're also not killing. There's no more war. There's the end of racism, as Mr. Diabete like pointed out. I think in the first or second episode when we first met him.
Yeah.
Like all of this, there's positives that come with this.
Except for the fact that, I mean, you know,
I'm just going to say, and then similarly with the individuals, like Carol might be this great representative, or Manusas might be a great representative of the individual. They're both like really off-putting assholes.
Yes, they are. And so is Mr. Diabete as well.
Yeah.
You know, so
kind of a creep. Like, you know, it's not all in.
It's not all. And again, and that's the idea, is that there are these complications, and I think that that's the key thing. I mean, the idea that the Hive has eliminated racism. Well, that's kind of like I don't see color.
Yes.
You know, it's this idea that if everybody's all the same, then there's no racism.
Right.
But that's not how it works.
Right.
It's, you know, it's about the reality that people are in fact different, and we need to respect and accept difference.
Right.
And I don't think it's a small thing to say that Manuso seems to have an awareness of that, and Carol doesn't.
Right.
You know, like they obviously see things differently because they come from different contexts. Right. And Manusos recognizes that when he says about the Hive, you know, after speaking to Zosha, you know, he's like, send me another one.
Yes.
You know, he recognizes that they are interchangeable because that is what the Hive does. Yeah. That is what the, you know, joining does. It assimilates everyone together.
You're dealing with a different interface.
It eliminates difference.
Right.
And for Manusos, that is a huge problem.
Yes. Yeah.
And for Carol at that point, who is involved in her own, you know, little goat pen that's being created for her. Yep. She is in a situation where she's
where her Hive interface is willing to refer to herself as I.
Exactly.
And that's all Carol seems to need.
That's all she needs is
to go along with this fantasy.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we have more to discuss, but as usual, we're going to save it for another video so we don't get algorithmically penalized. So if you're watching this on Not Another Gen X Guy, you should know we have a real channel called Aaron Explains Stuff. A real channel. It's an official channel called Aaron Explains Stuff.
Come join us.
Where we have more content, basically. So if you like this, maybe you'd like that. I don't know. Anyways, thanks for watching.